Hello everyone, welcome to Biblical Prepping. I'm Judith Garten and this is the prepper portion, and I have another bread product review for you. Actually it's two, I'm going to combine them in one. I have an absolutely lovely retro bread box. I love this. I grabbed this on Amazon. I will put the link in the description below for this and the Banneton product. I love this bread box. It is so neat. It doesn't seal as tightly as I thought it did, but it reminds me of a bread box my great-grandmother had in the kitchen. I know hers was not black. This was available in different colors, and I remember there was a red one. I know hers wasn't red, but I remember she had a bread box just like this, the old metal bread box, and she would put biscuits and muffins and rolls inside of this. So when I saw this, I had to grab it. It is big and roomy inside. The lid flips open. Look at how roomy it is inside. I could fit easily 2 of my sourdough loaves in here with no problem. However, we're trying not to eat quite so much bread, so I only put 1 in here at a time, but this is just so lovely. I have it in our coffee cubby for right now as I'm trying to rearrange the kitchen in different ways. It will find an eventual place where it is going to sit permanently out in the open, because it's not just a nice place to store your breads and your bread products. It is also just a lovely piece to have in your kitchen. Now the other product I am going to review in this is actually, I gotta write down my bread box on my list because I'm trying to keep track of everything I review. I never thought I would need this. It is a sourdough Banneton or sourdough basket with a linen liner. Now I do need to get a few more of these linen liners and another Banneton or two because I have found it actually does a better job. I wasn't convinced. I've watched countless people. Is it something that you have to have? No. You don't have to have one, and I hadn't had one for quite a while with making the sourdough. In fact, I've never owned one before. I've always just used a bowl. And this is actually my favorite bowl to use for allowing a round sourdough to rise. I like this one because it is just the right size. If I'm making a batch of dough that is for 2 or 3 loaves of sourdough bread so I can keep a couple in the freezer, I really like this size because when I split the dough, this is the perfect size to allow a round loaf to rise, and then I usually put 1 in here. I do have another bowl that I use if I'm making 3 at a time. I don't like it as much. It's just not built right for me. This one has a nice, this one is tighter than the other bowl that I use, and I tend to end up with a more spread out loaf of bread with the third bowl. So I've been using this one. I definitely need a second one. But I was only making 1 loaf at a time for a while. And when I would get done with the stretch and folds on my acrylic boards, I would put it in here to rise, and it worked great. However, when I got the Banneton, I noticed a dramatic difference in the fact that its sides are tighter. They're not quite as wide and sloped as they are in here. They're tighter, and they force the loaf to rise upward more instead of outward. So where with the third bowl, I get a very flat and wide loaf of bread. I don't get as wide and flat with this one. It's pretty decent. But with the Banneton, it holds the dough tighter, and I get a much better oven rise. The texture of the dough and the bread seems to be better. You get that lovely crumb on the inside with all those lovely bubbles to hold butter or cream cheese or peanut butter or even garlic oil. So I definitely recommend that if you're going to get into sourdough baking, as soon as you can use a bowl, like I said. However, as soon as you can, I would suggest getting a Banneton because I'm sold. And I wasn't planning on ever owning one. I hope this helps you in your sourdough journey, because making sourdough bread is just that, a journey. Oh, and I've had people ask, how easy is it to make a 100% whole wheat starter versus a standard starter which uses white flour? I have not made a sourdough starter out of white flour or bread flour or any other kind of flour in I don't know how many decades. I have only used the 100% whole wheat. When I struggled with the sourdough process with the whole wheat flour, I would often get discouraged and just end up throwing out the last of it and the starter, and I would end up just reverting back to yeast. I have a jar in the fridge of yeast that I have only used for pizza crusts. When it's really late in the evening or afternoon and I say, oh no, I want pizza for dinner, that yeast has been in there open for about 2 months, and there's still a lot in the jar. So I may have to switch down to packets. We'll see. But I love the sourdough. You just start the starter for whole wheat, just like you would with regular starter. Now you might have to add just a little bit more water to your initial mixture. I found that when I first started, it was summertime or springtime. It was kind of warm outside. We were about standard humidity and everything, and I just did half a cup of flour and a half a cup of water, and I tried to mix that up, and I did have to add about 2 tablespoons more. So if you're familiar with the consistency, if you've watched videos or you've done sourdough before, that's all you need to do, and then you follow the process of feeding and discard and feeding and discard until you start to get that bubble process. Now here in West Virginia, it is amazing. I get a good sourdough starter bubbling massively about day 3, maybe day 4. I don't know what about the yeast is active here, but it is really, really wild up here. In New Jersey, it took about 7 to 9 days for it to get bubbly. So you will have to watch and be familiar with that. I have never done a sourdough starter video. I will have to see if I feel knowledgeable enough to do that. I am just into making the bread and we eat it. So I hope that has helped. If you do have questions, there might be some that I didn't think to answer. Please put them in the comments below. I will answer as quickly as I can. I try to get them answered within a day or 2. But I have been busy editing videos and playing with a new podcast microphone set. So we'll be doing a review on that at some point as well. And it has applause. So I can't wait to try it in a video and have a little fun with it. But again, I've reviewed the bread box, which is beautiful and functional, and the Banneton, which is absolutely amazing. Love it. And giving you an idea on how to do your whole wheat, 100% whole wheat starter. I hope this has helped, and I hope this has encouraged you. There will be links for these 2 products below. This product is no longer available. It's about 30 years old. So it was from one of those home party companies a long, long time ago. And I have this one and the large one, so it's not available. I'm very sorry about that. But I hope this helps. I feel like I've been rambling. We'll be moving on to our coffee grinders next. Blessings and shalom.